Good morning, first grade friends. We are going to be starting Module 4 in Unit 7 of Math, and it is 100 and beyond. And some of the activities you did last week would coordinate right with this because you did your counting and you played your game, Race to 120. So session 1, it says, how many pennies in the jar? Close your eyes and picture a nickel and 2 pennies in your mind. How much money is that? Well, we can find that out. A nickel is worth 5, and then we have a penny and a penny. So we would do a counting on strategy like we've done before. Start at 5 and count 6, 7. There's a story, The Penny Pot, and there are some other stories out on YouTube that you might want to enjoy. If you want to do a math starts, The Penny Pot, you could do that. Penny jar estimation. How many pennies do you think are in this estimation jar? Well, when we make estimations, we have to think, how many pennies do we think are in the jar? So I'm going to think about some estimations. I bet somebody would tell me there was 100 pennies. I think there might be somebody that even tells me there's 200 pennies. I think somebody might tell me there's maybe 93 pennies. I don't think anybody would tell me there were 10 pennies. That's not a really good estimate. You saw that jar. The jar's pretty full of things. You know what? I think somebody might even go all the way up to 410. Those are some of my suggestions. Some number clues. Number after and number before. Sometimes we can think of one more than and one less than. We can have the addition of tens and tens or tens and ones. So for example, if I were to look at this penny jar, something that I might think about, I'm going to go back here to the penny jar. Something I might think about this penny jar, I might think, oh, one layer down here might be 10. So I might start going in layers and counting and adding by tens to make my prediction. Okay. We also might be thinking about greater than and less than sometimes. So we had some predictions. Now we can count, some things we could do is we could count about half of the pennies and put them into groups of 10 and put them into cups. So let's see. Are there any estimations that don't seem reasonable right now? So we have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Okay, we go back to that estimation, 50. And you can see how many pennies were in the jar still. Do we think maybe there's something here we would want to get rid of? Maybe not quite yet. So let's go next. Now we're going to count the remaining pennies into groups of 10. What should we do with our groups of 10? We can count them by tens, right? Count along with me. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Obviously, this is kind of hard to do because we probably would have had an estimation jar rather than just looking at a picture of one. And I think they counted all their pennies. And then they were able to group them again. And we have one group of 100 and two groups of 10. So let's think about how many pennies that is. This is 100. And then we start counting by tens. 110. 120. So We've been talking about place value a lot during the school year. We're talking about those hundreds, tens, and ones when we were doing number corner. So I think some of you are really, really good at the strategy. But let's take a look at how they put the pennies into a pennies place value chart. They still have hundreds, just like we had hundreds, tens, and ones. Okay, and remember, they're always in that order. We always start with the ones, and then the tens are to the left of it, and the hundreds are to the left of that. So take a look at our numbers. We have 100 plus 20 plus 0 equals 120. I bet somebody can remember what we called this when we add the hundreds, the tens, and the ones. Remember what that was called? Remember, it was called expanded notation. So expanded means we're just going to expand out the number 120 into the value of the hundreds, the value of the tens, and the value of the ones. So I'm sure many of you remember that. Which estimate on our chart was the closest to 120? We go all the way back to here. We had some predictions that were probably not quite very good. We had one prediction that was 200. That was too high. We had another prediction that was really way high. But you know what? Our 93 prediction and this 100 prediction, both of them were pretty close to what our actual amount was. So, not too bad on our predictions. We would have had a little more accurate predictions, probably. So, we have 120. Take a look here. What can we exchange the 100 pennies for? Think about that. We could exchange those 100 pennies, which are now 100 cents, into $1. And here is the way we can write $1. So right here we use that dollar sign, a 1. This is called the decimal point, and then 0, 0. Okay. So 100 pennies is 100 cents. So that means $1 is also equal to 100 cents. What can we exchange our 20 pennies for? Think about that. What could we exchange 20 pennies for? We could exchange those 20 pennies, which are 20 cents, into a coin that is a little easier to manage. This is 10. This is 10 more. Our dimes are worth 10. We have 2 dimes. Here is a way that we can write 20 cents. Dollar sign. We have $0. We have a decimal point and 20 cents. So you can see that here. You also notice that we could write it 20 and use the cent sign. Some of you were already working on money and writing money amounts in your teacher time packets. So I want you to think about how these values compare to each other. So we have the number 120, and then we have $1.20. And how do they compare to each other? If we're talking about pennies, we could have 120 pennies, but the value of those pennies then would be $1.20. So friends, you have some workplaces that you can work on if you'd like to. That race to 120 is always a fun game if you keep hold of it and keep adding. That really helps you add 2-digit numbers and sometimes to 1-digit numbers. So our work for today is done. We'll do session 2 tomorrow. Have a great day.